In the brutal world of medieval monarchy, betrayal often came not from across the battlefield, but from across the dinner table. Few stories capture that bitter irony better than that of King Henry II of England and his son, Henry the Young King. This is the tale of a father who crowned his son in a grand show of legacy and power, only to watch that same son rise up against him in rebellion. It's a tale of pride, manipulation, and a crown that came too soon. Henry II was one of the most formidable rulers of his time. Intelligent, energetic, and relentless, he ruled not just England but vast swaths of France, creating what historians now call the Angevin Empire. But the very empire he built was held together by force of will and a relentless obsession with control. Even his own family was not spared. In 1170, Henry II made a seemingly brilliant move. He had his 15-year-old son, Henry, crowned king while he himself still ruled. The idea was to ensure a smooth transition of power, reduce the risk of civil war, and secure the dynasty's future. It was a calculated gamble. By crowning his heir early, Henry hoped to avoid the chaos that had consumed England during previous succession crises. But there was one crucial flaw. The crown came with no real authority. Henry the Young King was king in name only. He had no kingdom to rule, no treasury to command, and no decisions to make. He was a decorative piece in his father's Game of Thrones, draped in ermine robes, but utterly powerless. To a teenage boy raised to believe in chivalry, glory, and the divine right of kings, this was more than just frustrating, it was infuriating. Over time, that frustration festered. The young king became surrounded by ambitious nobles and restless knights, many of whom were also disillusioned with Henry II's tight grip on power. They flattered him, fed his ego, and whispered dangerous ideas. You deserve more. You are the rightful king. Why should you wait while your father hoards it all? By 1173, the dam finally burst. In a stunning act of defiance, Henry the Young King launched a full-scale rebellion against his own father. And he wasn't alone. He had the backing of powerful French lords, his brothers Richard and Geoffrey, and, perhaps most shockingly, his own mother, Eleanor of Aquitaine. Yes, the queen herself turned against her husband, possibly even orchestrating the rebellion from behind the scenes. It became a family civil war that rocked England and France to their foundations. Battles raged, alliances shifted, and thousands died. A son fighting a father, a wife betraying her husband. Kingdoms holding their breath as the most powerful royal family in Europe turned on itself like a pack of wolves. And yet, despite the odds, Henry II prevailed. His armies crushed the revolt. His sons were forced into humiliating submission. Eleanor was captured and imprisoned, where she would remain for over a decade. The young king, though still technically a co-ruler, was stripped of what little influence he had. The rebellion failed, but the damage was irreversible. The bond between father and son had been shattered forever. But fate had one final twist in store. In 1183, just 10 years after his coronation, Henry the Young King died of dysentery while campaigning against his father once again. As he lay dying, he reportedly begged for forgiveness. Some say he was remorseful. Others believe he regretted only that he never truly wore the crown as king indeed. He died not as a ruler, but as a fallen prince, crowned too young, trusted too little, and consumed by a rivalry he could never win. The crown that was meant to unite ended up dividing. Henry II, in his attempt to secure a dynasty, had inadvertently crowned his own nemesis. And with the young king's death, the battle for succession didn't end. It merely passed to the next son, Richard the Lionheart, who would also eventually rise and turn on his father. In the end, the story of Henry II and his rebellious heir is a chilling reminder. In the ruthless calculus of power, even blood cannot always buy loyalty. And sometimes the greatest threat to a king's throne isn't a foreign invader or a rival noble, but the very son he raised to wear the crown.